a notorious criminal, the 42nd President of the United States, and a friendship that goes deeper than anyone wants to admit. Here's the true story of Ghislaine Maxwell and Bill Clinton. In a series of recent interviews conducted by journalist Daphne Barrick, Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted sex trafficker and longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein, opened up about her friendships with many high-profile individuals. These included former U.S. President Bill Clinton and his family. In June 2022, Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison for sex trafficking a minor, among other charges. In 2019, Epstein died by suicide in a Manhattan jail while awaiting his own trial on sex trafficking charges. During the Epstein investigation, it was alleged that many public figures had crossed paths with the late New York financier, many of whom flew on Epstein's private jet, the so-called Lolita Express. In addition to Clinton, that list included former U.S. President Donald Trump, Prince Andrew of the British royal family, and others.
It was almost impossible for me to sweat.
Since Epstein's death and Maxwell's conviction, Clinton and others have distanced themselves from the case, taking steps to minimize their alleged connection. Shortly after his presidency ended in 2001, Clinton moved his offices to New York City. In those days, Epstein and Maxwell were mixing with the highest levels of New York society, and it was around this same time that the friendship between Maxwell and Clinton began to flourish. Epstein himself had already visited the White House several times during the Clinton presidency, and Maxwell was photographed alongside Epstein and the president on at least one occasion. Maxwell's connection to the Clinton family was reportedly primarily via Chelsea Clinton, though the Clinton family disputes that. Certainly, Maxwell once vacationed with Chelsea and attended her wedding in 2010, although her relationship with the Clintons may run deeper than this. Speaking with Politico, someone close to the Clinton family described Maxwell as the point of contact between Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. Epstein was arrested in 2019 while disembarking a flight from Paris. Maxwell was arrested 2 years later, after Epstein died in prison. As Maxwell's trial drew on, it was confirmed that Clinton himself had flown on Epstein's private jet. The plane was reportedly used to fly underage girls to Epstein properties, including Epstein's Caribbean private island. Maxwell herself flew on Epstein's plane on several occasions. However, it's unclear whether Bill Clinton and Maxwell were ever on the plane together. Clinton had previously admitted he flew with Epstein on his private jet, but denied knowledge of any wrongdoing on Epstein's part. In 2019, a Clinton spokesperson said, "In 2002 and 2003, President Clinton took a total of 4 trips on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane, 1 to Europe, 1 to Asia, and 2 to Africa, which included stops in connection with the work of the Clinton Foundation." The spokesperson went on to say, "President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to in Florida some years ago, or those with which he has been recently charged in New York." Based on the interview Maxwell gave Daphne Barrick, Maxwell had a special friendship with the former president, one that lasted many years. She similarly characterized her former friendships with Prince Andrew and Donald Trump.
I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well.
Referring to Clinton in her interview, she said, "We had lots in common. I feel bad that he is another victim, only because of his association with Jeffrey. I understand he, like others, can no longer consider me as a friend." On the links between Epstein, Maxwell, and Clinton, a Clinton spokesperson said in 2019, Clinton had one meeting with Epstein in his Harlem office in 2002, and around the same time made one brief visit to Epstein's New York apartment with a staff member and a security detail. He's not spoken to Epstein in well over a decade, and has never been to Little St. James Island, Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, or his residence in Florida. The same statement insisted that Secret Service and staff were with Clinton every time he flew on Epstein's plane.